Okay, everybody, good morning and welcome to our weekly series for sales professionals and managers. This is Sharon Shaw, and I will go ahead and start. For those of you who were on our executive call this morning, just want to thank you again for your time. For those of you who were not, the theme for this morning's executive call was investment. Basically, this is going to require some skin in the game for the company you all work for. And the main thing is that everybody needs to be committed. Everybody has a benefit to reap once you guys become successful. And everybody has some challenges that they have to overcome to get there. So the theme sort of for today is that it's worth it. Train. Take the time you need to learn and invest and commit to this new model. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And the theme for us today, as always, these are weekly sessions. I think we're kind of past all this stuff, but is to be committed to this solution. Being committed to selling a managed service, a holistic service approach to your customer base in the security niche. So that is what our conversation is going to start from. And the reason why I'm kind of going with this theme is, talking to the owners about their investment. They have to be willing to pay more commission on these solutions. They have to be willing to give you the time and the resources and everything necessary to sell these services. So there's definitely some skin in the game for the owners, and there's definitely some responsibility, though, that rests on your shoulders as the sales managers and sales professionals that are, at the end of the day, responsible for the success of this program. And we are here to support you, as we've talked about, with our marketing and sales initiatives. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what do we mean in terms of you needing to be committed. So let's start with a basic Webster's definition of what is commitment. Commitment is when an agreement or pledge to do something in the future, especially an engagement to assume a financial obligation at a future date. That's in the term, as an agreement. A commitment can also be more of like a noun. It can be something that was pledged. It can be something that has been committed or agreed to. And lastly is the state or an instance of being obligated or emotionally impelled. So let's think about this. I think we talked a few weeks ago about passion. And commitment, I think, is just one of the things that makes your passion visible to others. And it's important that you are able to express your commitment in a host of ways. So let's start off by talking about how can I, as a sales professional, demonstrate commitment. It's not my company. It's not my dollars at work. It's not my, I guess, benefit, if you want to think of it that way, as an owner of the company. So why do I need to demonstrate commitment, and how can I do that? I'll tell you that I've seen a lot of people in life, just in general, whether it's work life or personal life or whatever, that have a lot of great ideas. They're smart. They're well equipped. They have the people, the support system, everything around them to be successful. And a lot of times what happens is that people lose their commitment. They falter. Something happens and they aren't able to get back up, or they get distracted easily and they don't follow through when something gets hard. Or it's, just, maybe they don't believe in it. Maybe that's the fact. Maybe they just didn't believe in what everybody else could see as this big opportunity. And I'll tell you that if you don't believe it yourself, if you're not committed yourself, you're going to have a really hard time selling anybody else on it. So let's talk a little bit about how you can demonstrate commitment. And at the end, we'll talk about what that will do for you as a result. But the first thing is dedicating your time. Just like with anything, it requires effort. You know, if you water the seed, it will grow. If you don't spend the time watering the seed, it doesn't grow. And for you guys in this stage, right now, here you are learning. You're dedicating this time with me to learn about these new services and how to position them. You also need to dedicate time to a trial and error. I've had a couple of people say, I was doing a presentation at TechSec a few weeks ago down in Florida, and sort of a heckler in the crowd, if you want to call him that, said, you know, I've mentioned hosted access control to my customers before, but they're just not interested. They don't need it. They don't want it. They're not interested. Okay. Well, I mean, clearly the guy is saying to me that he doesn't believe in it because his customer doesn't believe in it. Well, it's kind of the opposite. You don't just go with wherever the customer ends up. If you're really a salesperson, if you're really able to sell and you have that gift, basically what you're doing is getting them to adopt your way of thinking. And sometimes that requires multiple attempts, not just the same client, but multiple clients. You try and you learn. You know, oh, well, we lost that job because, you know, whatever reason. Maybe we didn't price the equipment right, or maybe, you know, whatever learning processes you're going to go through. You have to be willing to accept that. Now, fortunately, I've seen quite a few of our dealers when they start really getting serious and trying to quote a proposal. When we work closely with them, we have a pretty high closing ratio. So fortunately, that hasn't been too hard of an issue. But sometimes getting to that point of, yeah, sure, I'd like a proposal of that service is hard to do. And it's mainly just because you're having the conversation for the first time. You don't know what questions they're going to ask, what objections they're going to have. You don't know exactly how you're going to respond in those scenarios, but that's how you learn. So you dedicate time to the trial and error. You don't just try it once and give up. You take the time now to learn so you can go out and make your attempts. And then as you start to make your attempts, you reflect on how it went, and you learn how to change so you can be better. Brainstorming. I tend to have a lot of my creative thoughts or epiphanies, if you will. Like for some reason, it's always like at 9 o'clock at night. Sometimes after a glass of wine, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but not always. But I tend to have really good ideas in the evening. You know, I'll be eating dinner and biting into my broccoli, and all of a sudden I'll have this idea on something I can do to make it better, or approach a customer, or handle a situation that I've been struggling with. But again, you have to train your body. You have to be willing to dedicate that time. When you're doing something that's kind of mindless and you're just watching TV or whatever you're doing, taking a shower, if you start to have those thoughts about how can I be successful, what can I try, what's new, you have to dedicate the time to brainstorm and think creatively. You need to be a can-do person. You need to have an opportunistic and optimistic outlook on how this is going to work. And when you spend your time in that kind of a mindset, you're going to yield results. Because that investment is a lot of what is required in this recipe for success. You also need to stay focused on the end result. I mean, anything we do in our business is teamwork, right? You have the owners that have the company, they have the insurance, they have the foundation for you to sell things. And you have the partners, the vendors, the integrator supports of the world there to provide you the services and products that you're selling. You have the technical team to design and install and maintain the systems that you sell. And so there's all of these different people and different perspectives and different personalities and different levels of knowledge and understanding that all have to work together to make this a success. And so your job as a salesperson, you're very influential. Okay, salespeople are influential. You guys make the world go around. There is no doubt about it. And it's important that you embody that sort of vibe, that energy, that you put out a feeling in others that it's going to work. You know, hey, Adam's on this. It's going to work because Adam's on it. And as long as Adam stays focused on happy customers. So what is the service you're selling? If it's virtual guarding, you're thinking about, I'm going to keep these people safer and more secure than they've ever felt in their life. I'm going to make more money than I've made. I am going to help this company grow. Because if I can grow this foundation that the company owner has given me and that they've invested, like I talked about earlier, they are investing in you and in this, the better that foundation, the more we can do, the bigger it can get, the more successful we all become. Which at the end of the day, you're the leader. You are the leader. Because the technical guys can't do what they do unless you sell something. The owner can't build on that foundation unless you provide some kind of rain, make it rain, people, so that it can continue to grow. Okay? So you need to be the leader, and you need to stay focused on the end result. Because if you waver, if you have doubt, if you have seeds of doubt in the back of your mind that, you know, somebody makes a sarcastic joke in the office about, gosh, you know, as if this is going to get anywhere, or, oh boy, how do they have us spending our time today? You know, if there's a negative now around you, overcome it. Squash that energy with your energy of, yes, I can do this. You need to trust the process. So by being committed, you need to trust. I mean, think about a relationship, right? In a relationship, you commit to another person because you trust them. You believe that they love you back. You believe that, you know, they will fulfill your needs. You believe that by investing in them and fulfilling their needs, that it's going to make you happy. It's going to make everybody happy. Commitment is nothing without trust. Because if you don't trust the other side, if you don't trust the purpose or whatever the pledge, as it mentioned in the definition, that you are dedicated to, if you don't really trust it, then, I mean, what are you really committing? I mean, if you constantly walk around with a little shield on, you're not stretching yourself far enough to be vulnerable. And this is new. And whenever you're selling something that's new, it requires trust. You have to believe. You have to have faith that this is going to work. So the process is the lead generation. Trust us. We have the emails, the brochures. We have the tools you need to generate the lead, to help you go out and find the business. The product line. Trust the products. You have to trust the vendors that are involved here. And so sometimes it's not a matter of picking a new vendor. Sometimes it's looking at which vendors do we already work with. What cameras do we like to use? What VMS do we like to use? What access control do we like to use? And based on what we already believe in, what services can we tie to these systems? But trust the product. Trust the pricing. Trust the materials and all of the tools that we give you to sell. And the contracts. I have quite a few people that, you know, I guess don't know how to present the paperwork. They feel a little uneasy maybe about, you know, going through a subscriber agreement with the client and explaining what each paragraph means. And you need to trust it. The contracts are what makes it valuable. What I was just telling the owners of your companies a few minutes ago was that when they start discovering, like when they start investing in this effort, they hire the salesperson, they're willing to spend more on commission, they're willing to put a little bit of time and effort and all the things that go into a new business. They're willing to invest all of these things. And they're starting to figure out, well, when does it make sense? I mean, when do I start making money? Everybody's in business to make money. And so if they're giving everything away, if they're giving away commission, if they're reducing their margins on the equipment and everything, just so that they can be competitive, when will they ever make money? And they make money on the value of the contract. That is what makes the owners money. And in order for them to be willing to, again, on their side, trust you and trust the sales process and trust that it's working, is they need to have those contracts. What basically the advice I gave everybody is don't just look at, okay, this is how much per month we're going to be making, this is how much we'll be netting, and how long does it take to break even on the commission I just paid that person to sell this job. Yes, of course, cash is critical, and cash is the actual mechanism that is exchanged in order for, the company to function, you to get paid, and everybody to be happy. Cash is necessary. However, there's sort of an unseen, undervaluated or I don't know quite what the right word is that I'm looking for, but the underappreciated maybe is the value of the contract. And so basically what I told them is it's not just the net profit on these services and how much additional income you have coming into the business each month. It's the value of that income. So if you sell something for $1,000 a month and your gross margin on that is, say, 30%, you're making about, what, $300 a month, right? However, if you actually are owning that contract and you're the owner of the company, it's not just $300 a month that you're adding to your bottom line, which certainly helps, but it is also the value of that contract if you ever wanted to sell your company. If you wanted to sell your business, you take about 30 times that monthly amount, and that's kind of a rough estimate of what that contract is worth. So 30 times 1,000 is a $30,000 contract. That's kind of where the market makers are putting these things right now. So it's important that you guys trust the paperwork and you're willing to learn about it, invest the time, dedicate the time to read it line by line so you feel comfortable explaining it. So if you feel something is unfair about it and you're worried that you're going to have a negative response from a client or something, you need to know what your deal breakers are and what you can modify. Lastly is the project financing. You need to trust in the financing option because that can get your commission paid to you faster. If you sell these services with a monthly payment option, the company will receive a whole year's worth of that monitoring contract up front, which means that until they receive an invoice from integrator support, that's just cash on hand. And what that means to you as salespeople is that your company is in a position to pay you sooner. So if you sell a 3-year contract and they want to wait to collect until they receive, say, 3 months worth of the revenue before they pay you your commission, you need to know that financing can get you that 3 months worth of commission right away. Okay? So trust the process. The last point is what needs to change. So we've talked about, well, what is commitment in general, and how can I demonstrate commitment, which is by being a leader, staying focused, staying positive, trusting the process, and ultimately being consistent in what you do. So what needs to change? It's me. I need to change. I need to change what I say. When I'm talking to customers, I need to always incorporate something about these services. I always need to say something that shows I'm offering the service. I need to know where I stand. People need to see where I stand. Other people on my team need to know that I'm committed and I stand firm in this belief that this is working. I need to change how I act to demonstrate commitment. Don't roll your eyes. Don't get, flustered. Don't feel overwhelmed, if you act accordingly, if you have a positive attitude, that will go a long way. Show who you support. Who do you support? Are you supporting the customer? Are you supporting yourself? Are you supporting your family? Are you supporting the company? Know where you stand and know who you're standing for. And when do you try? When do you try new things? Do you wait until a customer calls and asks specifically for some kind of solution like the ones that we sell? Or do you do it at every phone call, at every opportunity? Always, always needs to be your answer. And how do you react? Do you get disappointed and stomp around and get angry if a customer wasn't interested, or if the trial and error was a lot more error and you're not sure how to handle it? How do you react if it doesn't work out? You need to react in a very positive manner. You need to react in a way where you are demonstrating that commitment, where, hey, another one down means another one, off the list before we get to that one that's going to sell. And why are you committed? That's probably the most important variable here, is why are you committed? Are you committed because your boss is making you commit? Are you committed because, well, it looks like there's some more commission to be made? Might be a good reason. Are you committed because you are just hired for that position? I think the main thing is that you need to be able to demonstrate why you're committed. And that demonstration comes through, again, all of the things above. So remember that you're working for the long term. This is an opportunity for you sales folks to be the leader. I mean, these are new solutions, new services that many of the customers in your market have never heard of. And so you have that opportunity to be that expert, to go out and gain market share like there's nobody else even around, because there's ultimately very few people out there really pushing these things right now. And if you are the leader, you have to be willing to go out and do it first. So why are you committed? Why is it that you're doing this? I'll share my why with you. I never thought I'd end up in the security business. I studied math in college and expected to go become a statistician or an actuary for an insurance agency, some sort of insurance company. Just risk management. If we accept so many payments over a period of time, what are the chances that this person's going to have a heart attack? So I need to, take what we've collected and then some to pay for their heart attack. That was kind of what I thought I'd be doing. And I ended up in the security business after basically the real estate market collapsed. I had been in real estate while I was in college and started doing mortgages, and the market collapsed, and so I decided to kind of change gears. We had a new baby at home that we needed to support. So I started asking friends and family, hey, if you see anything, let me know. And a brother-in-law shared with me about PSA and how they were hiring, and I started off as a temp, just doing some basic clerical work, and moved up to being the CEO's assistant. And honestly, that's where I found my why. I was there, why? To support my family, okay? But I found a mentor at PSA, and he has motivated me and taught me and trained me and given me all the tools I need. And basically, the people in this industry and the purpose of this industry I fell in love with. And so my why is to help his vision, my mentor's vision, become a reality. Bill Bozeman has certainly seen a lot in his time in our industry, and I feel very confident in what he believes is the future, and this is it. And this is what all of the market makers, all of the industry investors, all of the big wigs in our business know that this is where everything is going. So it's just a matter of who's going to take it there, who's going to carry that baton to the finish line. And I think the only, people that are going to make it are the ones, survival of the fittest. The steeper the slope, the closer you are to the top. And so it's important that if you have a customer that says no thank you, or if you have questions and you don't necessarily understand the services and you're not well enough trained and maybe you haven't had a chance to, review our resources or get comfortable, now is the time to get equipped. Go out, get trained, contact me, let's get you what you need so you can start this process. And once you have that vision for yourself of where you're going to see yourself crossing the finish line, visualization is a big deal in sales. I was watching a documentary called The Secret to Success, I think is what it was called. And they had a host of different people. They had people like Oprah, they had some philosophers, they had some religious people, they had the guy who wrote the book Chicken Soup for the Soul, and they had I guess this guy won the lottery like several times, okay? And all of them have different definitions of success and different things that they were working towards, different life, different experience, all that stuff. But the thing that was consistent was visualization and envisioning their success. So what does it look like if you succeed? What does that look like? Who are you going to be when you're successful? How are you going to be demonstrating that success? Are you going to be, driving a new car? Are you going to be able to buy a bigger home? Are you going to be able to, really change lives and, how do you see yourself succeeding with this? And it's important you stay focused on that. Use your visualization because that's what's working for these people. They see the numbers and the lottery ticket, and then all of a sudden the numbers are on the actual lottery ticket. It's amazing. So anyhow, if you haven't seen that documentary, it's definitely worth watching. And again, it's called The Secret to Success. I think you can either watch it as a DVD or it's on Netflix, or there's a CD. You can just hear the audio recording of it as well. So anyhow, that really kind of wraps up where we are today. But basically just wanted to go through and just remind you guys of what it means to be committed and that your company owners are all committed. They're all investing in you. They're investing in the time. They're investing in the opportunity. They are the visionaries for their company, and they know this is where the future is going. And so the question is, are you going to be the one to take them there, or are you going to wait and let somebody else? So thank you all again for your time today. As always, I appreciate it. I know that it's hard to get away, but go out and take those resources. Take your sales manual. Start making phone calls. Call up the people in your pipeline. Call up the people you know and just start asking, what are your security concerns? And have you done anything about them in the past? And when you get the answers to those questions in your sales manual, the who, what, where, when, why, feel free to call me. And we can review these prospects' information and just sort of what they're looking for and put together a solution that you can go out and sell. So thank you all for your time today. Look forward to next week, and don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions before then. All right, bye-bye.